So you've probably been told to cut back on salt or lose weight or exercise to lower your blood pressure. And if that doesn't work, you were started on a blood pressure medication. And all of those things will help you lower your blood pressure, but here's the truth that most people miss. You can lower your blood pressure by adding the right foods, not just by avoiding the wrong ones. In fact, I've had patients drop their systolic blood pressure by 10 to 15 points without medications, just by properly utilizing the right foods that target the root cause of hypertension. And today, I want to specifically talk about fruits that can help you lower your blood pressure because it's so easy to add them to your daily regimen. So the first fruit is kiwi, which is an incredibly powerful fruit, not just for blood pressure, but it helps with sleep and it helps with gut health. And that is because kiwi is rich in lutein, which is a carotenoid antioxidant, and it's rich in vitamin C. So kiwi can help lower your oxidative stress in the lining of your blood vessels, called the endothelium. And less stress means your blood vessels have more flexibility and more plasticity, which results in less resistance in your blood vessels. And that resistance is what causes high blood pressure to begin with. But there's more. Kiwi is also a good source of arginine, which is a precursor to nitric oxide. And nitric oxide can relax and widen your blood vessels by dilating your arteries from inside out. So this is why nitric oxide is so powerful, because it lowers your blood pressure and it improves your blood flow, and it can even boost exercise performance. So how much kiwis do we need to eat to get the benefits? Well, we have this randomized control trial that showed that intake of 3 kiwi fruit per day for 8 weeks was associated with a lower systolic and diastolic 24-hour blood pressure when compared to eating 1 apple per day. And there's a more recent study from 2022 that looked at metabolic parameters for consuming 2 kiwi fruit for breakfast for 7 weeks. And that showed a significant effect on lowering systolic blood pressure by 2.7 millimeters of mercury. Now, here's another important finding of the study. Some people are afraid to eat fruit due to fear of that fruit spiking their blood sugar levels. Well, in this study, they didn't find any differences in fasting blood glucose levels and insulin levels and uric acid. And they also found no differences in triglycerides, which are all measures of insulin resistance. So the good news is kiwi lowers your blood pressure, but we also don't have to worry about that extra sugar you're getting in the fruit. And it also doesn't really matter when you're eating the kiwis, because you'll get different benefits depending on what time of the day you eat them. So it's good to eat a couple in the morning because that's when your cortisol and your blood pressure naturally rise. And with some of my patients, I actually recommend eating them closer to bedtime, as we have studies like this one that show that eating 2 kiwi fruit an hour before bed improves sleep quality and sleep efficiency in elite athletes. I would just be careful not to eat too many kiwis if you have acid sensitivity, as kiwis can be mildly acidic. Now, the next fruit is pomegranate, and pomegranate has the same mechanism of action as blood pressure medications called ACE inhibitors, or these would be medications like lisinopril or enalapril or captopril. And these medications block the angiotensin converting enzyme, and by doing so, they relax your arteries, and that's how they lower your blood pressure. So pomegranate contains a compound called punicalagin, which is a powerful antioxidant that reduces inflammation and it neutralizes harmful free radicals in your body. And we have studies that show that taking pomegranate extract for 8 weeks lower both systolic and diastolic blood pressure. Now, some people prefer to eat the fresh fruit, but you can also get it in the juice form. And I would just make sure that you get 100% pomegranate juice that's not made from concentrate, because we have studies like this one that show that pomegranate juice that was not made from concentrate had 11% better antioxidant activity, and it had better iron availability, and it had better anthocyanin content, which is what gives us that anti-inflammatory profile. And one common mistake I see is drinking too much pomegranate juice, and we just have to be careful because pomegranate juice is very high in natural sugars, and that can get problematic if we don't have all the protective fiber that goes along with it when you get it in the juice form. Okay, let's talk about blueberries, which are nature's tiny antihypertensives. Now, this is what happens in your blood vessels after you eat blueberries. So first, you get a boost of anthocyanins, which are compounds that give blueberries that deep purple-blue color. And these anthocyanins act like bodyguards for your blood vessels. And when it comes to blood pressure, they boost your nitric oxide production, and they release enzymes that relax our blood vessels. And when you relax your arteries, your blood pressure just naturally starts to come down. And there's trials like this randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial that show that getting just 22 grams of freeze-dried blueberry powder for 8 weeks had a 7 millimeter of mercury drop in systolic blood pressure. And the treatment group that consumed blueberries daily also showed increased nitric oxide levels and they reduced arterial stiffness. Now, I would try to get at least 1 cup of blueberries most days of the week. And frozen blueberries are actually just as good as the fresh ones. And if you want to really supercharge your therapeutic effects, I would pair those blueberries with fat from chia seeds or walnuts. And that's going to boost that polyphenol absorption. That's going to have so many therapeutic effects going beyond just blood pressure. Next up is avocados, which isn't sweet, but it is a fruit, and it's probably the most underutilized food for managing your blood pressure. And the big therapeutic effects comes from potassium. In fact, a single avocado can give you over 900 milligrams of potassium, which is more than double than what you get from a medium banana. Now, why does that matter? Well, this extra potassium helps you in 2 ways. One, it helps your kidneys excrete excess sodium, which reduces fluid retention. And it also lowers your vascular resistance. But a word of caution, if you have kidney disease, I would definitely talk to your doctor about how much potassium you should be getting, because depending on the severity of your kidney disease, sometimes kidneys are just not able to process all that potassium. Okay, another benefit with avocados is avocados are high in monounsaturated fats, especially oleic acid, which is the same type of acid that you find in olive oil. And these fats improve the endothelial function of your blood vessels, or they basically repair the lining of your blood vessels. And avocados are also very rich in fiber, which helps you lower your cholesterol, and that extra fiber improves digestion, and it blunts those post-meal glucose spikes. And we have prospective cohort studies that show that avocado consumption is associated with a reduced hypertension incidence in Mexican women. So I would try to get half to a whole avocado at least 3 to 4 times per week. And I would be careful to make sure you eat fresh avocados and don't pair them with salty foods like chips or heavy seasoned foods that have a lot of sodium. Now, another fruit that's often overlooked, but is full of therapeutic benefits, and that is tart cherries. And there are studies that show that treatment with tart cherries is effective at reducing your systolic blood pressure. And that makes sense because tart cherries are packed with polyphenols, and especially anthocyanins, like in pomegranate. And they're also rich in quercetin, which improves that nitric oxide bioavailability, and it helps lower the resistance in your blood vessels that causes high blood pressure. Now, the easiest way to consume tart cherries is probably from a juice, and I would recommend getting pure tart cherry juice that's not made from concentrate, and make sure it's made from Montmorency cherries, as other varieties just don't have the same polyphenol levels. And I would recommend drinking it at night before bed because it's a natural source of melatonin. And the good news is you don't need to drink a lot to get the benefits. So my recommendation would be just to take 3 to 4 tablespoons of juice and mix it in about 4 ounces of water. And I would just be careful if you suffer from acid reflux. And if that's the case, I would pair the juice with a small protein snack. All right, I hope this was helpful. Stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.